You know, I was still kind of stuck on those star forts because of a couple of things that keep bugging the hell out of me. I find myself keep going back staring at a few of these forts. I'm going to show you a couple of them and I want to see if you see what I see, or would you see it after I point it out. Stare at it for a second. Does it look like it's moving to you? Like it's moving away from the source? Look at this one. Doesn't it look like it's separating the image of itself? You probably already know where I'm going with this. In my other video, I was talking about star forts maybe for giants. I was referring to some of the forts being so far inland, some of them with their defense appear to be facing inwards, leaving the back exposed to the enemy. Do you see where I'm going with this? That was kind of bugging me, but now I think I know why that is. I believe I know how these forts were made. They use some type of massive frequency cannon or generator. Could you imagine the power it would take to use it? Apparently it uses so much power that they couldn't control it. They made mistakes, which I will go into later. I think they got to the point where they either had to destroy the machine or it destroyed them. Probably what happened to the city of Atlantis. This planet's history is so mind-boggling. Look at this, this is fascinating. The vibration caused a ripple effect in this star giving off echoes of itself, and you can see just like ripples in the water, it gets wider as it spreads. Who would build a fort like this with this extra piece? It doesn't make sense. This is where they lost control and couldn't turn it off in time. You get only one shot. This one you can see it growing out. Now you see why I say it looks like it's moving. That's how a ripple effect will move. I don't need to convince you because you're going to start to see it. I'm going to go through these a little quickly because there's so much to say about all the ones I'm about to present. So I'm giving you the short version. Now this one you can see it started off with a ring. And these pieces right here tell the rest of the story. These pieces doesn't even make any sense to be placed where they are. Are you telling me that troops have to sail to that tiny island all the time to keep it occupied? I don't think so. These are pieces that broke off and being pushed outward. The same with this one. Look at the rings expanding and these extra pieces being pushed out. What's the purpose for these? This would be so much easier if my video capture would pick up my cursor. Well, what are you gonna do? What do you think? Maybe this will help you see the visual. Imagine the sound you hear and it's actually creating the pattern you see like the salt on the table, making ripples in the water. Because when you think about it, the land is nothing but packed grits of dirt and rocks, not a solid piece. Look at all these unnecessary pieces. Look at this. Normally these forts are too perfect. Look, it even has the same exact flaws. You see this corner looks a little off? The opposite side is exactly the same. The bottom has a more sharper cut. Do you see? Look at it. You can see it splitting like a cell, making a duplicate of itself. Another cell splitting. Another cell splitting. Are you starting to see? This is a good one. It almost became two forts. This one you can see a star was about to form, then it started to split. Do you remember going to the beach as a kid and building sand castles? If you didn't have a bucket, what did you do? You gather sand up into a pile and shape it, right? What's the one thing that most of the forts and sand castles have in common? Their sides and corners are angled inward for stability. If you look, most star forts' walls and corners angles inward, the same way you would start to build sand castles. Not using a bucket, you would gather all the sand to a point, just the way it seems like these were built. Whatever was used to make these forts move massive amounts of dirt. The ones close to the water used sand, obviously, and then laid bricks or stone as the shell. Remember this one? You can see the shape rising out of the ground. Come on, how is this even possible to build forts like this with manual labor? Look at the ground underneath the fort. Another one. Look at the mounds. I'm assuming this is exactly how the pyramids was formed, except they had it so perfected when working on those to the point where it was accurately placed. All my life I wish I would find out how those pyramids were built with such precision. I think I could die happy now. This is my opinion only. I think this equipment was used to make the pyramids around the world, and somewhere later down the line, inexperienced people that were later in charge tried using the cannons or frequency generator to build these forts and had no idea how to control it, which is why we have these mistakes. Look at this. Either it wasn't far enough inland or the other half of this fort broke off and hit the water. Either way, it looks like they didn't know what they were doing. Another incomplete. This one looks like it broke off or the generator bled over the water. There's more of these where it looks like it jumped the water and incorporated the nearby land. This one is a complete mess. And here we thinking this is intelligent design when in reality it was a messy mistake. Mistake. Another that jumped the waters. Mistake. Obvious mistake. I bet they thought they had this one centered. Oops. Mistake. Big mistake. 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 Big mistake. 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 Mistake or broken off. You get the idea. France must have been the testing grounds for the cannon because it has the most mistakes. This was not even a perfect shape like the rest of the world. A mess. This one looks like a virus mutating. It had to be a huge disappointment. It has so many vulnerable spots. Tell me, does this look by design? Check this out. I found this while I was looking for a particular video.
I'm just going to click through the video here to show you the type of thing that was happening, and I found this fascinating. But I believe the saying is, I nearly dropped my lunch when I saw this happen. Now, the tones you're hearing in the background, if you were to play that tone, folks, the oscilloscope set up the same way. This is a bog standard oscilloscope. You can buy any oscilloscope in the junk shop, right? Set it up. He tells you how to set the settings, and then just play this sound, and this will appear on the oscilloscope screen. Now, I'm going to tell you why I think this has something to do with star forts and why it's important in a moment. Here we go. We are about to see the structure of star forts, boom, start to emanate from the sound and the frequency on the screen. Can you see it? Do you see what I'm seeing? Is this not bizarre? If I could fly over a landmass with powerful enough of an audio generator, could I generate a big enough, or maybe with a crystal or something, could I amplify a signal big enough to vibrate the earth at the same frequency as the earth and the stone to form these patterns from the earth from above? This is my own theory, folks. I'm not kind of, it was actually my eldest son said to me, "Hey, Dad, have you seen this crazy guy online that's doing all sorts of weird music? And his weird music is making real weird patterns on the screen of an oscilloscope." And I said, "Well, hey, I gotta have a look at that." And I looked, and I saw this. And I thought, well, that's strange. It coincides with the research I'm doing on the star forts. And then this as well, and I see this shape, and I'm like, what the hell is this? And like, I'm seeing similar shapes. Like, I'm wondering, well, I'll let you hear the sound again. Yeah. So, in the oscilloscope, he's talking a bit there. But I'll give you all the links for these, folks. You can have a look. I think, he's generating, look at this. Look, does that not look like a certain leaf that everybody would recognize? But to me, you see, this is more interesting because I've looked at star forts, folks, and they just don't cut the mustard with regard to this is a defensive building. They're not defensive. I mean, yeah, you can defend them, and you could fortify them, but they couldn't have been built for that purpose. They just couldn't have. When you look at them, it just doesn't make sense.
Somebody already beat me to it. Now I'm convinced. There's a reason for every video I post, some at certain times. So when people think I changed because they miss the things they like to hear from me, it's because it's a message in the videos you don't like that you urgently need to hear now. I want to talk about other things, but I can't sit here trying to make people happy when I see what's coming. It's hard to concentrate. Everybody sees the light from a distance, but only a few see the flames. The message in this video, history is a lie and they're using it to control you, us, just like religion. Well, exactly like religion. History is to control the non-religious people. They're hiding the fact that you have far greater power as a people and the knowledge has been stolen from you. They most likely know how these forts were built, and you should know exactly what that means. They're trying to build it, or they may already have. The point I'm making is history has been rewritten to control you. You got to stop believing a lot of stuff until you do the research, because what you don't know in this case will literally hurt you. You know how they keep saying history is always written by the winner? Well, their story is rewritten too. I can't prove it, but I can feel it. It's a way to beat them, but people need to wake up fast, because the people that see what's going on and not sugarcoating shit is not really doing what they do for you. They're doing it for future generations. But we need help reaching other people, because if there's a slim chance that you may have to come back here, would you really want to when people before you sacrifice your freedom just for them to feel safe now? Freedom is not given. You have to take it. Thank you for watching, and thank you for sharing your time with me. I'd like to thank all my Patreon supporters. Your support really does help. It buys me free time to build. Thank you. If you feel like you want to help support the channel, you can do it on Patreon. The link is in the description. Other ways to support, just share the video. Costs you nothing. Peace.